Hi guys, it's good to be back again. A very warm welcome back to Motorhoming Adventures. And so in this episode, Bob is going on some travels to Tewkesbury, aren't you?
Yep, indeed. I'm off to, do you remember in September 2021 when we collected Resi the motorhome? We did indeed, wasn't it? Great day that was.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can all relate to that, the first day you pick up your motorhome.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm going down to, it's purely a chance conversation. As you'll remember, if you've seen the channel recently, you'll see we had got some parts from Marquis in Tewkesbury to help me carry out some repairs on the habitation door, which went well. Thanks to Marquis for having the parts and getting to me within a day or so. And when I was chatting to them, they said they had a couple of new Kias in the yard.
Not parrots.
No? Do they?
Well, Kias, there's a parrot.
There definitely are, yeah. Talking.
Did you go and see some, did you review parrots or a motorhomes? I don't know what he does when he goes away.
But I also thought I'd take them up on the offer, or ask whether I could come and film them, because Mobilvetta have just changed within the last sort of 12 to 18 months. They've changed all their vans to 4.4 tons, which I know causes one or two issues with licenses because they're over 3.5 tons, and you need the C1 license to therefore drive. If you are or if you passed your test after 1997. But 4.4 tons, I have to say, gives you a fantastic payload and really does give you peace of mind when you're travelling that you're definitely not, or at least you're very unlikely to be overweight. So without further ado, time to hit the road. Nikki's deserting me, aren't you?
Yes.
Deserting me because it was such short notice. So I'm actually going to drive up in the car. But anyway, come along, come and have a look at some Kias and not the parrots. And, and enjoy the film, guys. See you very soon. And look at that, as if by magic, from Tenby. And yes, we're back here. We're back here at Marquis. Do you remember that day in September 2021 when we had that fantastic trip down here to collect Resi the motorhome that was parked just outside the offices there here at Marquis in Tewkesbury? Anyway, so we've come here today because Marquis have got a couple of Kias in the yard, which are the two straight ahead of us there, a Kea P80 and a Kea P90, both obviously from the Mobilvetta brand. And it was actually the Kias that were one of the first motorhomes that Nikki and I looked at when we were considering buying a motorhome, before we then started comparing all the brands, both within the Trigano group and of course the others, the Deflefts, the Heimers, you name it, we looked at them, the different internal layouts, and we ended up coming back to Mobilvetta and choosing, obviously, as you will have known and seen if you follow our channel, our K-Yacht Technoline 79, which we absolutely love. But the discussions that we had with Marquis recently, when they mentioned they had a couple of Kias in the yard, I got thinking and thought that you guys might like to have a little look round the two Kias. Okay, so as promised, let's have a look round this Kea P80. It's a 2023 Mobilvetta Kea P80. It's obviously a coach-built motorhome, as you can see there. Coach-built being obviously the fact that they retain the Fiat cab and the Fiat chassis, but then they Mobilvetta build the rest of it that you can see there with the sort of extra bulging bits at the side. That's what coach-built in effect means. Again, let's have a look around this on the outside. If you wanted to know a little bit more, of course, about its twin, the P90, then look out for that film on the channel. It might be up on the channel already, but that'll give you a really good in-depth comparison of the P80 and the P90. The P90 is about 500mm longer. Not a great deal in it, but internally they're different designs. This one, as you'll see in a minute, is going to be a U-shaped lounge. That one is a fixed island bed. So look out on the channel for the P90, really good in-depth walkthrough of that one. And without further ado, we'll get on and have a good look around this P80. So externally again, it's got some good outdoor storage locker space. these just, oh, there we go, just clips into that little white catch there and holds it up. Got a little bit of storage space there. On our van I keep all my sort of water hose attachments, electric, stuff like that, tucked away in these so they're easy access when you're filling with water or hooking up. There's your freshwater point, and just underneath you'll have probably spotted that handle there. That, of course, if given a firm pull, is attached to your grey water system at the back there, and that's what allows you to drop out your grey water when you're on site. This hatch here, that's your, let's pop that one open. There we go. That's your toilet cassette. A little bit of excess wiring. They're obviously doing a bit of work here on the van, but there's a little catch just under there. Just hold the catch up, and that allows you to slide the toilet cassette out. It's got its own little built-in handle there and wheels, so that you can just tow it off to the black waste disposal when you're on site. Obviously lockable, so nobody wanders off with the cassette, but who on earth will want to steal a toilet cassette? You never know though, do you? Eh? Never know. Gas locker here. See, it's a nice size gas locker, that. It can take, got two harnesses there, so you'll get a very easy 2 6-kilo bottles in here, but there's also an option to potentially put a bigger gas bottle in. We run with 113 and 1.6, can't quite do 213s in our K-Yacht 79 that we've got, another Mobilvetta, purely because this door catch, when you shut the door, if you've got two big 13s in there, it just interferes with the catching system slightly, so that's why we personally run with a 13 and a 6 as maximum when European travelling. But it'd be something that you just have to get your tape measure out for and make sure if you were considering taking a couple of 13s. You've got an exhaust outlet there for your Aldi heating system, and that's one of the changes that Mobilvetta have made. They've gone to the Aldi as opposed to Truma, and it's a wet heating system, so radiator liquid fed, rather than the blown air that, for example, our K-Yacht 79 has, our Mobilvetta. So a slightly different system for some of these newer models. And we'll see evidence of that as we go, as we have a look through the van. You'll see, and I'll point out some of where they've hidden away some little radiators and stuff. It does have a sort of fan system as well, so you can get a bit of blown air, but it's predominantly radiator fed, as we'll see once we're inside. So this gives you a sight of the garage here. Few bits and bobs still in there. In fact, there's a couple of ladders there which are used for the drop down beds, but we'll see those once we go inside. This sort of bit that's coming into the garage here, there's no function of that, it's just part of the interior of the van. So unlike in some other Mobilvettas, in fact on the P90 you get access to the Aldi boiler from the back, whereas this one you don't. That's just sort of part of the storage and drawer system from the inside. But what you can see there is the magic controls. These are two controls that any motorhomer should know exactly where they are and be able to find them when you're blindfolded, because those are the frost trip buttons for the heating system. So needless to say, there is a film on our channel which explains how they work, but if it drops below 4 degrees when you're away in your motorhome, then these have a frost protection system where this valve automatically pops open and it drains all of your water out of your hot water system to stop any frost damage. Suffice to say, if your water pump then cuts in, the water, because this valve is now open, the water just keeps carrying on flowing until it's completely empty of water in your whole van, because obviously the heating system refills from the main water supply. So it's a very simple change. You just merely have to press that button back in and make sure this switch at the top is in the right direction. But yeah, definitely find where that is if you're going to be an investor in a motorhome. Know where your frost protection switch is. Good space in the garage there, and you'll see as well they've got, while we're in here, we might as well have a look in this. This is the box they provide with all your wheel changing facilities. This one, like many modern vehicles these days, it's also got a tow hook there at the front there, you see. But this one, like many modern vehicles, has got the hasn't got an underslung spare wheel. if you look under there, the Fiat chassis does actually have already pre-drilled up underneath there, just behind the rear axle, does already have facility for an underslung spare wheel. But at the moment it's supplied with a can of that foam, so obviously if you get a blowout or something bigger than a small hole, then the foam's not going to do you any good. So you can retrofit an underslung spare wheel. We've done exactly that. There's a film on the channel which shows us where we went and got it fitted, and the wheel fitting itself, and that'll give you an idea of the process involved. So check out the channel for that film. Now, the downside of the Aldi heating system is that this box would normally stow under the front passenger seat, and this little thing turns and locks the box in place to the floor under the passenger seat. But if this van, and I haven't quite checked under the seat yet, but if this van is like the P90, then they've put under the passenger seat where this would normally go, they've put some Aldi heating control systems. So this may in fact have to live in the garage. You see though as well, we've got some lashing points in the garage, another couple up the other end. There's lighting in here as well. But as you can see, it's a little bit smaller than the P90 garage. It does have your shower point there as well. Hot and cold water, they'll give you a clip, a shower head that plugs on a quick turn, and it gives you, if you've been out at the beach all day or covered in sand or whatever, gives you the ability to have a shower off outdoors with warm water. How very nice indeed. And of course, 3-pin plug if you're running any devices out in the garage. The little white things on the back wall there, they correspond with the fittings here. When you, if you buy the P80, you'll get, as many of the Mobilvettas do, and in fact a lot of motorhomes do generally, you'll get fittings already pre-fitted for a Fiamma bike carrier or similar, and that is something that you can speak to your dealer about if you want to add that. It's already set up and ready to go. Nice sort of LED lighting system round the van, round the rear for brake lights, indicators and that, and then you can see there you've got a double lens on the little camera underneath there, so one of those cameras looks directly down at the back bumper, so you can get absolutely inch perfect what you're reversing to. A must when you're reversing this, which albeit it's slightly smaller than the P90, is still just about 7 meters long, so a little bit different to reversing your Toyota Yaris, that's for sure. And then obviously that secondary camera there that gives you a view sort of out the back, so that's also something to get to know and love, is your reversing camera, so you know exactly where you are with a slightly longer vehicle than you might be used to. Working our way around then, fridge vents there. There's of course your electric hookup supply, just a little catch on the side of the plug there, just allows you to release the plug, otherwise it's now locked in until you press that catch down. And this of course is your external barbecue point. They supply you here with an attachment that you can clip onto your hose, your chosen gas barbecue hose, and that then allows you to just push fit in there, and it grips that, and it's just a push and click fit, so it's super fast, and then you just compress that in a ring when you want to release it, so it's a really speedy thing to load. And then up at the front here, just behind the cab, you've obviously got your diesel filler and your AdBlue. Euro 6 diesel obviously, which means that we're free of, as I am as well with my Euro 6, we're free of some of the emission zone charges for the moment, but one suspects that governments around the world are probably already talking about what year Euro 6 will also have to start paying for congestion charges. So let's have a look inside. Just before we go fully inside, let's just look at the inside of the door there. It's got a door mounted bin there, and it's also got a blind which concertinas up out of the door there, all the way up. A sort of double thickness plastic here, so there's a little bit of soundproofing as well provided by that, as well as insulation. And as you probably know, if you've been looking or thinking about Kias, then there's no, it's all sort of foam insulation in these. It's a suspended floor, it's a heated floor as well. There's some heating controls, in fact, just around the back of this seat. While I'm thinking about it, let's just show you that down there. Those are the heated floor controls. In fact, I can feel it on already. But just the same as the P90 as well, that's also got that sort of suspended floor, heated as well, which means you're sort of double protected from the cold that might be coming up through. So really nice insulating that. As you go in as well, you can see this is really nicely upholstered, nice designs, Mobilvetta emblem stitched in there, which is really a nice touch, and a little pocket for storage there, stitched in emblem there as well, and that lovely blend of sort of lighter colours, which I really like. Gives plenty of light then, and plenty of surfaces for light to reflect on, so it makes it feel a very airy and light vans. In fact, just about all the Mobilvetta range I've been into have that similar feel of lots of airiness and bright finish inside, which helps to keep things nice and fresh, which is great. So let's pop in and let's start up at the front. At the cab end of this P80, you'll see it's very, very similar to the P90. We've got storage up in the top here, little lockers both sides, perhaps a little space there for one or two bits and bobs that preferably wouldn't slide off and hit you on the head while you're driving. So well secured. But of course what you've got here as well is that lovely window up there. It's got built in this sun blind as well, and it's got over the other side here, it's got a fly screen as well. So if, as we were last year, both in France and then as we travel down through Germany, Switzerland, Austria, down to Croatia, then these were, as soon as we stopped virtually, these are open and letting that lovely flow of air in through the van here. So the cab, very, very Fiat-ish. If you're thinking about the Kia as an upgrade, or if you've had Fiats before, then you'll see that probably for decades this layout has only changed very slightly. Clocks are it's still a non-digital dash. Instruments are still very similar, just the sorts of things you'd expect with steering wheel controls for cruise control and for telephone answering remotely. This is of course a 9-speed Fiat automatic box. You've got an ability as well to of course come out of auto mode and manually use the gears, or manually just gear shift, and it's also got some different modes, eco mode and things like that, which are supposed to be of assistance in terms of fuel economy. Got some similar switches there on the front heated windscreen, and you've also got a sort of hill descending button there, which helps the engine braking stay on when you're descending very steep hills. You've obviously got your cigarette style and USB connectivity there. The little switch to the right there, that's for the radio to, so normally when you switch the ignition off, you would kill the radio. Whereas if you wanted to switch the engine off but keep the radio on, because there are speakers throughout the van, as we'll see, if you wanted to keep it on then you can merely use that switch, and that overrides the cut-off that would normally switch it off when you turn off the ignition, so it allows you to keep the radio on with the engine off. Usual sorts of storage though. As I say, with a coach-built vehicle, you've got the original Fiat cab and Fiat chassis, onto which then Mobilvetta do the rest of this that's behind us. So very much a utility vehicle that could be anything from an ambulance to a delivery driver, but in this case a fabulous P80 motorhome. Very nice too. You've of course got internal blinds as well, so these are a little pinch together, these two plastic bits, and then this obviously slides across there, and there's a little magnetic strip on the end there which just corresponds with the frame, but you can see that gives you really good privacy. And then you've got a similar setup here, squeezed together, and then this one meets in the middle, comes across here and just goes up to the halfway point down there, met by the other one across there, and similarly there's a magnetic strip there, so that keeps those two together. All of Fiat's again. If you haven't seen these, I quite often see questions about these. People can't work out how they come up because it's got like a clipboard thing on there, but it is just pressure, so it's not, there's no secret clip to this to actually get the device up. You merely get hold of this back bit and then just give it a little firm pull. Nothing too excessive, but that then pops out, so there's no secret hidden catches. There is a secret hidden catch that allows you to pop out these holders, which are for your smart device, be it a phone or iPad. Just on the side there's a little lever, you pull that, and as you pull it, those pop out, and that allows you to slot in, mine somewhere, that allows you to slot in, there we go, allows you to slot in a phone, either landscape or cyber, or indeed an iPad if you're perhaps using that. hotspotting, using that for map reading or for sat naving. And then remember, before you stow it away, just to clip that out the way, otherwise you'll catch it as you push down. Those clip back in. You can use it as a clipboard if you haven't got a smart device in there, and then it's just simple as it hinges back down, and then a firm little push shut, and it clips in. That's obviously for your remote hands-free phone. My little microphone there. So let's just open that. Keep the light in here. They're not obviously the strongest of things, as you can see, sort of concertina ring. So so handle your blinds carefully, and they'll look after you for many a year. They're not for rough handling though. If you what you do get though, if you're out in colder weather, of course in the morning when you get up out your beds, then you'll find that the insides of the windows, if you're just using the internal blinds, when you take your blinds back, you'll find that you've got a lot of condensation. One surefire way to stop that completely, rather than having to sponge all the windows off before you can set off driving, is to get an external cover put on. A TaylorMade are the company we use, which provided us with a wraparound thermal screen that fits all the way around the outside, hangs on the external mirrors, and you do not get a single drop of condensation at all. If you have an external thermal screen cover, and thermal as well, because it keeps heat in, and it does make a significant difference in this cab area, particularly when you've got the screen on the outside, because it's got a sort of spongy padded middle. But also when we were in Croatia and south of France, where we were pushing 40 degrees, it has a cooling effect as well, so it keeps the sun out of the van, and if your hatches are open up above, letting the air in, then actually it helps to keep the van cool as well. So a really useful little addition. Check out that film on our channel, which we filmed at TaylorMade Covers. So a lovely little family in Yorkshire that make them for just about any shape, size, model of motorhome you could possibly name. Great little company. Okay, so the lounge space, or the front living space I'll call it, has, apart from what we can see here and the setup of table, has got bits and bobs stowed away under the seats. First of all, I'll show you this table. It's got a little clip here, which when you pull that up, it allows you to then to move the table around. It also not only allows you to move it around, but it allows you to slide it as well. So I can go over towards those chairs. I can't rotate it, but I can then bring it right up towards the seats there. So so that gives you really good movement of that table, so that if somebody sat over this side, very easy to let them join the party and move the table across to them. So if we pop this off, this first set of cushions off, and I'll show you in there. There you've got your main fuses for all the habitation area of the van. The fuses for the Fiat are of course up the front there, as you'd expect, under the dash or in the engine compartment. So this is the habitation area. This is your leisure battery. Fitted on this one is a 95 amp hour leisure battery, and together with the charger and one or two other bits and bobs in there, which look after some of the electrical systems of your van. So that's under that one. And then what I'll do is, because for some of you who are perhaps travelling with youngsters or whatever, it's important to know how they're going to be carried from a safety point of view. You'll probably know, if you've researched this van at all, that it's got 4 belted seats, so you can legally carry 4 people, because there is provision for 4 seat belts. You're 2 at the front, and then 2 which are stowed away. You would sit them side by side, be they adults or children, in this seat here. So let me just take that apart and show you where that all sits and how that works. Probably the easiest way to get any of these is, there's rarely a shortcut, so you generally have to start at the top. Velcroed on all of these cushions, so you've just got to pop off the top ones. Because we've got to get that one out, then this little one here is just an infill cushion, so we can pop that out of the way. Just slide this table forward a bit, which is another good reason why it slides around, and then we can get to this one and we can just slide that backwards enough so that I can pull this one out. There we go. Pull that one out, and that just, I can show you then. So there's all your belt system. So you can see that with the gaps in the top of, so where that fitted on, where that pushed underneath here, you can see your belt would come out of that little gap there then. Out of the gap, the tail is long enough so that it comes out through and out under the side here. Similarly over that side as well, you have exactly the same setup, and that provides your two forward facing seats. Of course, those sharp-eyed of you would have also picked up that, well, where's the legs going to go? The person that sat in the corner, well, that panel there is just rested there. It's got a couple of little brackets that hold it in place. Those chrome little buttons correspond to two holes underneath that holds that in place, and then of course you've got one of those cushions on top. So so you merely take that out, stow it away, and you've got your two forward seats with a nice little table in front of them. And similarly, putting it back together again, start from the bottom and work your way back up. And before I actually put that one back, in fact, we've got two hatches here, which you've probably spotted. That is not a lot in there, but it is hollow, so that gives a clue as to what's going to be under the other one, which is your water tank. So you remember there was our freshwater fill was out on the offside of the van there, so there's the pipe work coming in from the filler. There's your water pump sat in there. That's obviously a manual access into your water tank. If you wanted to pop in some purifying tablets, things like that, or whatever that might be, it just allows you to get access to that. If you're in a cleaning process, we do that about once or twice a year. Just add some Puritabs and something like that and let it swill around while we're doing a few miles. Washes it around and then drain it out, and it just keeps the tank nice and fresh then for your fresh water. And last but by no means least, push back there and velcroed. You see as well while we're over this side, a couple of little USB chargers there. These tracks here, which on both sides are of course for this bed, which you'll see drops down. Some aircraft sort of locker style cupboarding in there. There's little catches, you can just see that little catch there. You just got to press that down and that allows it to open, so it means it's nice and secure, nothing pops out when you go around your first roundabout. And obviously you've got one of two TV points in the van here, the other one's further back, hidden away nicely, which I'll show you in a minute. 3-pin plug over there, and you've got your aerial input leads. If you take advantage of your TV hanging point there, which the TV obviously slides out and then rotates and tilts. The blinds on these and the windows, sort of decorative really. You've got pull at the side there, which means you can bring up these decorative nets at the side, and then you've got these where you push these together, and there you go, that's got your blackout blinds. And then similarly up the top here you've got fly screens, so on every single window you've got exactly the same thing, and then a 3-catch system with just to press the button to release that, otherwise it's locked. Press the button and that releases the catches. So you can completely black out with these fitted. They actually clip in. If this one goes up all the way up to the top, it clips into that at the top there, and then to release it you just squeeze these two together, and it allows you to lower this one back down again by squeezing the handles. So that's that bit. And also you probably saw behind me just as we came in, there's just a little bit of storage there, extra storage, perhaps for an overspill of non-perishables. We often store things like rices and pastas and cereals and stuff in these if we're going away for a long time. You can see actually there as well, you can get a glimpse of sort of some of that foamy insulation that makes up the floor and the surfaces. The insulation material, it's a very sort of well thermally insulated van, so it certainly stays lovely and warm. Certainly with that heating running, it's a fantastically warm van, very much like a lot of the Mobilvettas. Incidentally, while we were under here, just see at the back there, you probably can't quite see, but there's some little ribs there, the telltale ribs of a heater, or one of the radiators that I talked about, of your all-day heating. I'll slide that table back out of the way, slide it across to the right. There, goes right back up against, or we can slide it right back to those seats, which then gives you plenty of room to come through to the cab area. The seats obviously captain seat style at the front here, with a pop of this lever here. Just pull that back, then this whole unit then just rotates in its position. There we go. These arms drop down. A little bit of adjustment in the arms here. This rolling bar here, what that does is, as you turn it, it makes the finishing point of this arm, either raises it or lowers it further down depending on where you want your elbows sat. But these seats are lovely and comfortable. If you watch our channel at all, you'll have seen that, you know, back in the last year we were down in Croatia, fair old bit of mileage, 3,500 miles, and never once did I get any sort of drive fatigue, as it were, from, you know, a bad sitting position or bad back or anything. Really lovely comfy seats. Could drive for hours in them, absolutely fantastic. And when they're spun around like this, and the tables sort of moved out and across, it means that you can very easily set, you know, sort of at least 5 adults, 1, 2, and then 2 in these seats and 1 here. A very easy 5 adults, and possibly more if you squashed in a bit over there. Really nice space. Okay, let's work our way back. Let's have a quick look at all the galley space. See some more of that recessed LED lighting underneath the units there. Really nice. Looks lovely at night as well when it's lit out. Let's move my chief measurer out the way. Wood cover there on your stainless steel sink, which is used for your mixer tap. 2 gas rings, a induction hob there. I forgot the word for a minute. An induction hob there, exactly the same as we've got in our K-Yacht 79 Mobilvetta van. One thing to be just aware of, if you're doing European travel, these obviously draw, as you'll perhaps know, quite a bit of power. Some of your European hookup sites might be as low as 5 or 6 amps, whereas in the UK we run at 16 amps. So just be aware of that fact. If you had something on the hob and you're on hookup and then you stuck on something electrical in the van, don't be surprised if perhaps you had a fuse pop and your power got cut. And of course, if your power did get cut, then that's the other thing you want to know about, where it is blindfolded in the dark, because that's always when they go in there. That's where your main fuses are, and sure as eggs are eggs, it'll be one of those will be in the down position because it will have popped. There's also an outside chance that the post into which you're plugged on your campsite, that might have also tripped, because that's got similar switches to those. So look out for both options. Is it my van that's tripped, or follow the lead back to the post and see if that one's tripped. But very quickly you can pop that back on and you're up and running again. Those adventures of camping that we love. What I like about this as well, it's got a conventional oven. I say conventional because if you've seen our films, you'll know that ours is actually above the fridge freezer, which is not, it's probably one of my few gripes about the van, just the fact that it's so high up and not the safest of things to be getting hot stuff out of the oven from almost above eye level. So it's good to see conventional style oven, and then of course next to it got plenty of storage, nice deep drawers there for your cutlery tray, pan drawer. And then this one down the bottom, this is a slightly different one because it's got your gas. There's all your gas controls. You've obviously got quite a few gas lines in the van, be it for your heating system, for your external barbecue, for the hobs we've just seen up there, for the oven. So you've got quite a few, hence all the little isolators there if you needed to isolate. I don't isolate any of them individually. Obviously I just turn off the gas bottle at the mains out in the gas locker there, and that does obviously the same job. But you have got the ability, if you wanted to isolate individual things, particularly perhaps if you were working on the hob or something and you just wanted to cut that one off from the main system to be able to perhaps take out the hob. So could be a useful function. So then directly opposite your galley area you've got didn't mention my good sized storage there. Up above there, and then a little storage container there. Similar window. That weird thing is something to do with your Aldi heating system. If you saw that, I've seen that once or twice in vans. I wonder what it was, so I did ask, and it's something to do with the system venting itself, or an ability to vent it, a bit like a bleed, I think, in a sort of house radiator. I think it's a system similar to that, but if you know anything different, stick it in the column below and educate me, because I've not got an Aldi heating system. So if it does anything else, then let me know, or let the rest of the viewers know as well. Straight opposite, really nicely lit bathroom space. Got your cassette toilet there with a simple system of when you pop this lever down here, that's what operates the hatch to open and close it. Obviously keep it closed when you're underway, stops any contents coming back up. Ooh, the thought of it. And an electric flush button. It also swivels, so you can find your most comfortable position. How smart is that, eh? There's some evidence of the Aldi wet heating system. Gives you an actual towel radiator, so that's nice. You've got your towel hooks up at the top there, which hang then over the radiator. So that's a nice touch. There is Marquis's apologies for that. They're just doing a bit of work because this door wasn't fitting quite right. So it's like a bathroom cabinet type setup there with a door across the front, as you can see by the two hinges just missing its glass door. So that's all glass, little glass panel there, and then onto the glass panel here. So you've probably also seen that there are mixer controls and also a swap over valve there for a shower. But where is the shower? So for a minute it's a bit like a TARDIS in that for a minute it foxed me as well, until I did a bit more scooting around and ferreting underneath the unit, trying to work out where the pull-out cable was that clipped into that. But actually it is even more like a TARDIS. Let's just make sure we don't take off, because you put your hand under there and this whole thing then pulls open. So this whole unit with sink and all opens up there. That stays out the way then. This wooden tray that can obviously lift out, and of course underneath there is the plug holes. I guess you could leave that wood in there. It looks fairly durable. It looks like a hardwood, but you can just as easily pop it out if you wanted to, or even use it as some sort of mat outside. And then you've got this affair where you can unclip the hose from here. There's your shower attachment hiding behind that panel. You can unclip that, you can put it over here, and there you've got it. And there's also a little bit of sort of shower type enclosure here. It's not full length, it just comes down to here, but then it folds out like that. So I guess let's just try and get the full effect. If I shut the door of the bathroom, so it sort of, I guess, just deflects some of the water perhaps down to straight down to the floor, but it looks like there's plenty of drainage to take the water away. There is a screen as well across there, if you wanted to. Sorry, you probably didn't see that, I'm so close up. It was just tucked away there, so that slides across. So that in effect provides a bit more of that waterproofing, that if you're having a full-on shower in here, then this being plastic, it's not like those front ones which are a bit sort of more papery. This is sort of more plasticky texture, and therefore it just helps the water run down into the drains down the bottom there. So yeah, it's almost it is a bit TARDIS-like, isn't it, with all the converting into a secret fold-away sink. Very clever use of space, I guess, in what is always a slightly limited space in any motorhome or caravan. But quite a clever use of that. So let's pop that away, otherwise my TARDIS won't go back together again. So that clips back in, that hose clips back in there, that folds back there, and then this, oops, just put that catch on the screen there, and that then just folds back, and there we go. It's got a sort of magnetic catch that just drags it in. So what a nifty little feature that is, isn't it? And lovely lighting as well, with that recessed LED lighting. Nice, isn't it? Up at the top here, we've got the blinds across there, and the windows are all the same on these. It's just a case of pushing that button in, that releases the handle, and then you've got 2 or 3 settings there where you can slot in there for a little bit of vent, or you can go full on all the way up to the end there for a wide open window. And fantastic it is when you're in 36 degrees with the med lapping onto your toes almost. Oh, can't wait to bring it on. Okay, so now we're on to our sort of getting towards our U-shaped lounge area. So you can see now the difference in the layout. Had that lovely big island bed in the P90, which is in fact just behind us there, but this has got our U-shaped bed. Up there is our drop down bed, and similarly up there is our drop down bed. So just before we head completely to the back, let's just show you how that one works. Simple as pressing the button, down it comes on those tracks. Now you remember that that's as far as it goes. Remember those ladders that we saw in the garage, that's why they're that size, because they just hook onto the underside of here and up you go. Really nice bed space that. Let's just, again, a bit like I did with the other film, let's just give you an idea of size, because it then helps you to think as to how big this space is up here. So from the edge of the bed there, just laser it across from the edge of the bed, which is there. That's that is 1.364 metres over the widest bit, and then this bit over here, a bit like if you've watched our other film on the P90, you'll see that it narrows down slightly. So let me just get a reading from the edge of the master. There we go. And that narrows down to 1.16 metres, and you can just see that shape of the mattress curving in there to go around our shower area there. Sort of seatbelt style straps that lower the bed down on these four corners, as simple as that. And then the electric motor that then takes it back up again. Very simple and straightforward, and a good size double that. And then, so while we're on the subject of beds, because we've got everything down, let's bring this one down. So again, press of the button, you can see us just coming down here, down there, and then similarly again, you've got a similar sort of height there. I've heard a suggestion that you can actually adjust the settings so the bed goes a bit lower. I'd imagine obviously it can't go much lower, because you're restricted by perhaps some of the cushions or the surface here. But if any of you have got this style of bed and know whether that is possible to adjust it, then let us know, or whether you're just stuck with the height as it is and the ladder that we saw in the garage there, then also let us know, just for the benefit of those who might be thinking of the Kia, that if you've got a slightly better knowledge than I have of the drop down bed. But you can see you've got some nice little storage cubbies up the top there, got the little reading lights there that are on in the corner, and again a light at the back there, which another reading light at the back there. Just tucked up as well, tucked up there you've got a CO2 alarm as well, and of course the opening hatch, that one of course being on the winder as opposed to on the handle like the smaller ones are. Fly screen, sunscreen across on those. If you haven't seen my other film yet on the P90, a quick word of warning on those. If you are in very hot climes, like the south of France in the mid 30s to 40s, then avoid using, or if you leave your van, then don't put over the sunshade if the windows themselves are shut, because it acts like an oven then. So if you're in 30-40 degrees of heat, it actually superheats air in here, and there have been cases where some of the fixtures have actually melted, and of course if they're melting then there might even be a fire danger. So if you're leaving the hatch up, of course when you're out, that's obviously going to keep the air a bit cooler, but certainly window shut and sun blind across is to be avoided if you're in super hot weather. Right, let's bring that bed back up. Moving a bit slowly because the battery's probably hasn't been used for a while, so I'm giving it a bit of lifting assistance. There we go. Fantastic. So what this has also got, it's full of electronics back here, is this table you can see has got concertinas, so you can actually set the table height as well, and there's the switch to do it. You can take the table up if you want to use it perhaps as a dining table, or I guess if you're in sort of I want to put my feet on the table mode because you're watching telly, then you might do that as well. if you dare put your feet on your pride and joys table. A bit like the P90 though, this table is, because this has got that little lever system, as you'll see there, and also a catch underneath, which allows that, if we loosen it off, you'll see, loosen the one off underneath, that allows it to slide to and fro, and then this one allowed it to rotate. Press that lever down and it allows the whole table to then rotate. And if you're going to use it in its open leaf mode, then you turn it right round sideways, so it's got that so it's got the support for this right hand side when you unfold it. In fact, let's just do that properly. That wasn't. There we go. So you can see it opens out there. The table top rotates. Let's just lock that underside one in place so it doesn't slide to and fro. There we go. Spin the table round. It's now got a support under there for the metal, and that then sits on that. So that's how that works. Slides back. Slide it back and you can keep it nice and narrow there. There we go. So really adjustable table in all directions. We've got over here, as you've probably spotted, we've got a little bit of storage. We've got little opening cupboards there, both sides. Good sized cupboards there. And then we've also got a little drawer there. But yeah, you've probably spotted the handle already, because if we pull that up, a little bit of a gas strut here helping you lift it up, and there's your second TV point. Very nice indeed, tucked away. So I guess you might want the table down, feet up. Very nice too. Evening in front of the telly. That's a good firm gas strut, that is. There we go. And a lovely, look at the light that comes into here. These lovely big opening windows with the U-shaped lounge that you get with this configuration, together with, of course, more aircraft locker style storage. There we go. And the same over the other side. And there we go. So let's move this table out of the way, because the other thing I wanted to show you was what's under here. So let's pop these cushions out of the way. There's one and two. Stick that one on the floor. Getting quite good at doing this one-handed. And then under here, there we go. There's our new Alde heating system, tucked away there. You can see there, got its make and model on there. Compact 3030, Compact 3030. If you want to look it up and find out a bit more about that Alde system, Alde spelled A-L-D-E. So that's where the brains of it all, and there's that frost protection switch down there, so you can see why that was located there. It's because it's right next to your boiler. Fantastic. There's the just the bottom edge of those little cubbies that we saw when the bed was in its down position. Speakers, incidentally, I mentioned those. There's the speakers at the back there. So if you've got the radiator override, radiator, what am I talking about? You wouldn't get much music out of a radiator. If you've got the radio override switched on, then obviously you can get your favourite channels throughout the van when you're parked up. Last but by no means least, you've got a few goodies in here. Now this is obviously part of the Audi wet heating system, so that's that. It's generally a water-fed system, piped around the van into those little radiators, be it the towel rails, be it the other ones that are hidden away. But then to it as well, they add this, I guess it's a sort of fluid perhaps that stops the pipes furring up or whatever it may be, a bit like a domestic one at home. So that's why it's a beautiful shade of cerise or pink with the additives. So that's like your little reservoir that keeps it topped up, very much like, I guess, a car radiator. And then you'll see the other goodies we've got in here. You've got your TV aerial that, well, you've obviously got a hanging space here. That's sort of, if you remember the P90, or if you haven't seen that, go and have a look at that film. The P90's got wardrobes each side of the bed at the back, with that extra sort of 500mm perhaps. So what they've done in here, they've doubled up, put your hanging wardrobe space in here, with some of the other stuff. But your aerial, that little white collar there, you just loosen that off, push your aerial up. There are various apps on the market. The one I use is called Antenna Finder. You fire it up on your phone, wherever your chosen park up is. It tells you the direction north, south, east, west of where the strongest signal is, and then all you do, having loosened off that collar, is you push the aerial right the way up to the stop point there, and then you turn the upper part of the tube, because that then turns the aerial round in 360 degrees. I say the upper part because this lower part, you see, that moves independently of the upper part, and that's because, and it caught me out initially, hence I thought it's worth mentioning it, when you turn that, you might think that the whole area is turning. It's not. You've got to grab hold of this pole to turn the actual direction of the aerial. This, when you turn that, the aerial at the moment is like that on the roof. It makes the aerial do that, so it goes from horizontal through to vertical as you turn the bottom part of the handle. There are occasionally satellite receivers that transmit a signal, which means that your aerial has to be like that instead of probably 99% of the time I've had it like that. Or there was one, I think, one site where I had to make it do that. So that's when I learnt about that. To the left of it, you've got your PWM solar controller. That's wired in there. You can see two of those wires. Your positive and negative will go straight up to the solar panels, and then you've got the feed coming out from it to your batteries. To the left of that again, you've got your TV aerial booster. So you've got one coming in, which will be from the aerial, and then because we've got two TV points, you've got those wires heading off round the van to your, I think there was one just down there, wasn't there? And then the other one was over this side, over at the back there, where you've got the aerial points. So if you do get any reception problems, apart from making sure your aerial's pointing where it should be, then occasionally, you know, if that plug comes loose or it drops out, then you lose the boost, then that would be another place to go look for first, to see if that's the cause of you or one of your aerial in leads are a bit loose. That's the first place to go and check if you're not getting a good signal. So good little wardrobe space, one or two other bits, and that just about covers the whole of our P80. I think you'll agree, both vans, if you've seen both of the films now in terms of comparison, they're both really nice vans. It's got, as I said earlier, that lovely light feel, loads of light coming into this van, especially with those huge windows at the back there in your U-shaped lounge. Lots of little cubby holes, storage spaces tucked away, and then of course goes into night mode, beds down, both front and rear. Really couldn't be simpler, could it? Some nice 2023 technology in this, some little upgrades. The heating system, I think, with a wet heating system would be better than blown air that we've got in ours, purely for the fact that you've got radiators that you could pop towels on a thing. So, and just while I think of it, the only thing I haven't shown you directly is the control panel. It's at the moment, it looks like it's actually in Italian. Oh well, no, not even Italian. I'm not sure what that is. Oh yeah, it does look a bit Italian. Suffice to say, all touchscreen. In switching there, you can see I've got the internal lights on, luce interna, and one for the external light, which is just above the door here, and that's for your heating system. And there also your Alde heating system has also got, there you see, Compact 3030 comes up as it fires up. You can plus and minus the temperature, and you've got your fan control there, so all fairly straightforward stuff. Let's just come back out of that, see if this one also has your iNet, which means that Bluetooth wise you can connect your control panel to your phone. So you don't have to come up here and interact with this. You can do it straight onto a smart device where you can interact with this control panel and your heating system. You've also got a grey water heater up there, which when you've got grey water coming into the tank there, then it gives you the ability to keep a slight temperature in that if you're in very freezing conditions. This particular iNet connectivity isn't the one that takes a SIM card. So if you've watched our film with me sending text to the van from miles away to switch the heating on in advance of us getting back, then this one doesn't have the SIM card facility, just the Bluetooth. So you can obviously only when you're in Bluetooth range of the van do you get that control. So that's the difference between the two devices. But a really cracking van. Thoroughly enjoyed looking around those two Kias, the 80 and the 90. Do have a look at the 90 on the channel if I've done the film yet. Our K-Yacht 79 as well. That's a 2021 van. That's also on the channel. That's an A-class, similar size to the 90 at the back there, but just got that slightly wider cab because it's an A-class and therefore just retains the chassis, not the chassis and the cab. And Mobilvetta then build the rest on an A-class. But they're both lovely vans. I think you'll agree. You probably enjoyed those. Let me know what you think about them in the, particularly those of you that own them. We'd love to hear how you're getting on with them, what you think about them. Would you change anything on them? We'd love to hear those. Of course, if you fancy giving us a like, and of course subscribing to our channel, we'd love to have you along. Off to France soon, so it'd be great to have you along for our next Mediterranean trip if we get as far as the Med. But I hope you've enjoyed those couple of films here from Marquis in Tewkesbury. It's a lovely spot to come down to because, as you've probably seen in the background, there's a lot of other vans here, all part of course, the Trigano group, who do a lot of the brands. So let me just give you a quick look around before I sign off. Mileo there, Benimar, Tesoro. Look at some of those. So an absolute yard full here. Both of second hand and of brand new. Of course, any of the brand new ones can be ordered. Wait times aren't as bad as they used to. Chat to some of the team in here. They're not as bad. You know, the supply chains are starting to sort themselves out, so we're now getting a lot of the new ones coming in apparently. That's why these two were here today, which we wanted to come and have a look at and show you guys. But yeah, I mean, if you're thinking of a trip out to go a bit of van hunting, be it used or new, then you could do a lot worse than pop down here to Tewkesbury and to Marquis in Tewkesbury. Some lovely riverside walks just over there. Really nice little town as well. So well worth the trip. Come on down and have a look through, and you never know, you might even go away having signed on the line. Do it. You know you want to. And of course, a huge thanks once again to the team here at Marquis in Tewkesbury for allowing us to drop in and make these films for you. And hopefully you thoroughly enjoyed them, because I certainly have. So, weren't those two vans interesting anyway? What did you think of the Kias? Had a sneak preview of the footage of the film.
I thought they were really nice vehicles. You know, the internal layouts and the aesthetics were good. I really like that.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing for me was the payload. I think that's amazing that you can just pick it up and then have peace of mind that you can carry additional weight, whether it be a kayak, bikes, whatever you're carrying, and you don't have to worry about going over the limit.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to know a bit more about payload, then check out the channel. There's a film on there all about that subject, and sort of how we chose the van, and then when we actually ended up at the weighbridge to see what sort of weight it was. So check out the channel for a payload in detail, but spot on indeed. So hope you enjoyed the films, the look round the Kias, and as always, thanks ever so much for watching. We'll see you again very soon.
We will indeed. Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye guys.
Take care.